He's a rock and roll icon, famous for his high-energy stage antics and that signature scream. Well, tonight, the Steven Tyler you don't know, surprisingly candid about why he was never a fan of American Idol until he became a judge, and the mistake for which he most judges himself. He opens up to Matt Lauer, who started by asking Tyler about the title of his new memoir.
I'm going to start with the title because it's the first thing that caught my attention. Does the noise in my head bother you? What's the noise in your head?
Okay, it goes like this. Or it could go like this. Yeah. Sit a spell, it'll take about an hour. I tell you all the story about me and Matt Lauer. I can't even love. No, we'll leave it at that. Because that'll be all over.
Is that there constantly?
Pretty much.
Yeah?
Now, it's time.
Take a listen to the noise in Steven Tyler's head these days, and you may hear something surprising. The softer side that he says comes with age and experience.
You write in the book, you say you're 63 years old, and it took you until the age of 60 to realize you didn't know anything. And that's okay.
Oh, you know, and that's the best part of not knowing something. When you realize it's okay, that's when you reap the rewards. This is the place that dreams are made of.
We visited Tyler at home in Los Angeles to talk about his improbable journey. From 40 years as Aerosmith frontman to his current spot at center stage. That's the story told in his new book out this week, a rock and roll memoir with plenty of sex and so much drugs, you have to wonder how he kept track of it all.
I must admit, of all the things I ever lost, I miss my mind the most. But when it comes back strong, Matt. Come on now.
Long before he was Steven Tyler the rock star, young Steven Tallarico dreamed of being famous. And his striking resemblance to that other big-lipped singer didn't hurt.
There were a lot of comparisons to Mick Jagger.
And at times, you capitalized on it in some ways. You picked up the accent.
I grew my lips bigger.
And you even pretended you'd go around trying to pass yourself off as his brother, Chris.
They said, my God, you look like Mick Jagger. I said, oh, I'm his brother. And we'd go see them play and wait for them at the hotel in a car. And kids jumped on the car and smashed the windshield and banged on the top.
They thought you were the star.
They thought I was. Yeah. And I got that feeling of, what if?
But it was another 60s legend that Tyler says he modeled his stage persona after, Janis Joplin. He calls her Saint Janis.
The people throughout history who said, yeah, Steven Tyler took a lot of his inspiration from Mick Jagger. No, you admit in the book that it was a female rocker, and it was Janis Joplin. Why her?
Because she was what she was. And she came along and, oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? And my voice is all crackly and rasped out like hers, you know, and it's like, it's what I wanted to be.
So scarves on the mic stand, the signature Tyler scream. Thank Janis Joplin for that. But the song that has defined Tyler's life and career more than any other, he wrote himself. He says, Dream On came to him like a piece of divine inspiration some 37 years ago.
And think of the lyrics of that song. That is a song about a guy looking back over the vast terrain of his life. Really. And here you are, this 26-year-old kid. It seems like it couldn't come from you. Tell me about that song.
Well, I wrote that song, and I'm sitting up at the barn, and it's like, you know, I'm loving that melodic stuff. Just like it's going through me. And I don't know where that came from. Every time that I look in the mirror, what? All these lines on my face getting clearer. Here's the best part. The past is gone, and when my life dusk to dawn, isn't that the way? Everybody got their dues in life to pay. It's just, it was that melody which told my mouth, which touched something in my brain that made my mouth sing that. Every time I look in the mirror, I'm
Do you have a
hearing,
lighter, matches I could hold up? Come on, I want more.
But you see what I mean?
But where did the experience come from? Because it's a song of experience, a song of having been there, and you were only 26.
Lived and learned it from fools and from sages. I read the word of sages in one of the books I was reading back when I first started smoking pot. Then again, on the other side of it, I don't know where the hell those lyrics came from.
He may not have had much life experience when he wrote Dream On, but Tyler was about to get it. His memoir chronicles a career full of loss and redemption and details his long battle with addiction. Even by rock and roll standards, back in the day, Aerosmith was a hard partying band.
You guys would put in your contract, there had to be a place on stage, a little cubby where you guys could go during the concert, go in and snort coke. I mean, you actually budgeted for cocaine. I think you called it, what, 24-track tape or something like that?
Yeah, it was.
I mean, was there no one around who raised their hand at that point and said, guys, this is going to come back to haunt us at some point?
Absolutely not. Managers didn't care. They were glad we were making them all money. And they may get angry at that, but it was also a thing to do. I can give it up at that. And by the way, bands like Aerosmith, if you look at the 70s, how many albums we did, how many songs, and how many territories, you know, we conquered playing 3 shows in a row, I needed blow. I needed that cocaine. I needed that. I needed it.
So what toll do you think it took on you, emotionally and physically?
I spent a lot of time high and wasting time. Looking back, I hurt a lot of people. It's really a one-way street. I still like the ride, but it's a one-way street.
Coming up, Steven Tyler reveals what could well be the most intense relationship in his life, and it's one that might surprise you.
Is it fair to say that you two have spent as much time fighting as loving each other?
Today, Steven Tyler is happy playing around on the baby grand in his Los Angeles living room.
And in that melody comes something.
He says he got his ear for music from his father, a classical pianist.
I was brought up under the piano. I grew up, one just like this, a Steinway B in the Bronx.
And you loved words. You loved words from a very early age.
My grandfather had all these books, you know, just with delicious little tidbits of, this is the earliest I've ever been late. And the things that come to those that wait, maybe the things left by those that got there first.
But as he writes in his new memoir, perhaps the most influential and tumultuous relationship of Tyler's life has been with Aerosmith lead guitarist Joe Perry. The two were nicknamed the Toxic Twins for their drug-fueled battles on stage and off.
Here's what you write in the book about Joe Perry. We're polar twins. We're total opposites. Joe's cool. Freon runs in his veins. I'm hot, hot-blooded, shooting off my mouth. Joe's a creep. I'm an You mean that in the nicest way, I would imagine.
I don't mean that in a bad way.
Is it fair to say that you two have spent as much time fighting over the course of your time together as loving each other?
Well, you see, he plays guitar, so he plays it in such a way where I'm addicted to it. He's Aerosmith. He goes, you know, did-do-do-bid-do-did-do, and I say, love in an elevator. So it's the magic. When am I going to fight it?
You write in the book about LSD, and this is not the drug.
No, no.
No, LSD is...
Lead singer disorder.
And you had it, right?
Well, I think we all do as lead singers, right? I mean, we front the band.
Yeah.
So therefore, why don't they listen to us? We know everything.
Yeah, big ego.
Yeah, of course.
Tough to work with.
Yeah.
Made trouble when you could have made peace.
Yeah. Because all my life, being a big mouth, being a type A personality,
right,
always stopping people going, no, 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 wait, 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 you got to hear this. Let me finish, let me finish. Stop. Slow down. Now I do that for myself.
But while Tyler was busy fighting, touring, and abusing drugs with his band, he says he missed out on the childhoods of his 2 oldest daughters, Mia and Liv. In fact, Liv spent the first dozen or so years of her life not knowing that Tyler was her biological dad.
Rate yourself as a dad to your older children, Mia and Liv. If you have a complicated relationship there.
Very complicated. I did get sober in '88, and I stayed sober for 12 years. And in that time, I got to see really, you know, how I wasn't there for Mia and wasn't there for Liv. And it broke my heart. I cried like a baby. And it was some years later where I said to Liv, I said, I'm so sorry for not being there when you were a baby. And she was the first one to say, Daddy, it's so all right, you're here now. And now I know I got a daddy.
You write about this in the book. Drugs robbed me of my spirituality and compassion, only later to find out I'd lost Liv and Mia as well. I cried when they forgave me for my past behaviors, but I'll be working on it for the rest of my life.
That's what drugs did. That's what it did. And it took my children away, it took my life away, it took my band away, it took my marriages away, and I was on my knees.
During Tyler's clean and sober years, he had 2 more children, Chelsea and Taj. And Aerosmith scored their biggest hit ever with a song from the movie Armageddon, starring daughter Liv.
I could stay awake just to hear you breathing.
But beginning in 1999, he suffered a series of health problems and found himself addicted to prescription drugs.
I was reading the book and I was thinking, Stephen, that there was a time in your life where you weren't the victim of yourself, you were the victim of some bad luck. You'd been clean and sober for 12 years.
Yeah.
And then you started to have some surgeries. I think you had throat surgery, you had back surgery, your feet were giving you problems. And here came the prescription drugs. Did you find, in some ways, prescription drugs harder to kick than the drugs, the more recreational drugs you were doing back with the band in the 60s, 70s, and 80s?
Well, let's put it this way. To go out on the street or send somebody out to get a bindle of heroin or some cocaine, it's just exhausting. But a doctor, hell, I know 1,000 of them. I had to delete them all from my cell phone. It's so easy to get them in for whatever ailment.
Tyler has admitted that he was high in 2009 when he fell during a concert in South Dakota. The video was on YouTube in a heartbeat, and Aerosmith was back in the news for all the wrong reasons.
And the stage was wet, and I went chit-toot, and I zigged when I should have zagged, went off and fell on my head, and that took me down.
That episode, 2009, really upset you, didn't it?
Well, it did in the sense that because I was taking these drugs, the band didn't call me. No one called. I mean, Joey Kramer called.
So wait, they didn't call you because they were mad that you were using prescription drugs?
Probably they were angry.
Have you considered that they were a little embarrassed, Stephen? That in some ways when you went off that stage, it took the whole band down a little bit?
Oh, of course. And I almost agree to the point of, I get that they were angry. I get I fell and, and it's nothing any of them haven't done. It's just that, I guess I got in the front, man, I fell off. I was high, I owned it.
But it hurt you that they didn't call.
It really hurt me.
The band was talking about replacing Tyler. Tyler was looking for a new gig.
Coming up,
How did you end up on one of the most popular shows on television?
idle chatter.